It's pretty wild to think that people are funding their lives, like even replacing full-time jobs,
Yeah.
just by selling clothes online. Platforms like Poshmark have really turned closets into cash registers for tons of folks. Welcome to Dollar Side Hustle, your go-to podcast for all things side hustle.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. It's a topic, well, so many people are curious about.
Absolutely. It feels like everyone's either already doing it or, thinking about diving into the world of reselling clothes online. And Poshmark just keeps coming up. There's a real buzz around the potential to make some serious money there.
Definitely. And it's not just about clearing out your own wardrobe anymore, right? Savvy sellers are building actual businesses.
Right. So let's get straight to the big question that's probably on everyone's mind. Can you actually make a living wage on Poshmark, like a full-time income? We hear those stories, but what's the real picture?
Well, it's important to have a realistic perspective. While those incredible success stories, they are out there, for most people, Poshmark starts as a fantastic way to, say, boost their income or maybe cover specific expenses. The bottom line is, the more effort you put in, the more you're likely to get out. It's definitely not passive income.
No, it sounds like you really have to roll up your sleeves and, well, hustle. So for those listening who are looking to do more than just make a few extra bucks, what separates the Poshmark power sellers from, everyone else?
A crucial element, I think, for those who really thrive is smart sourcing, basically getting your hands on inventory at the lowest possible cost. Think of it as the bedrock of your Poshmark operation. The less you initially spend on your items, obviously, the healthier your profit margins will be.
Makes perfect sense. Just like any business, keeping your costs down is absolutely key to maximizing what you earn. So where are the successful Poshmark sellers finding these bargain price treasures? It can't just be the local thrift shop, right?
You're right. While thrift stores are definitely part of the equation, top sellers usually employ a range of strategies. They combine the tried and true with some more, let's say, inventive approaches to unearth those profitable finds.
Okay, let's dig into this sourcing treasure hunt. Thrift stores, they're the obvious starting point for many. But is it just about hunting for designer names? Is that the main thing?
Well, finding a Gucci bag in great condition is always nice, sure. But successful thrifting goes way beyond just labels. Smart sellers, they develop a really sharp eye for quality fabrics, unique styles, and, importantly, current trends, regardless of the brand on the tag. It's really about knowing what buyers are looking for right now.
Okay, so it's about understanding your potential customers and being able to spot those hidden gems that have real appeal, even if they aren't like a big name brand. You're almost like an antique appraiser, but for clothes.
Exactly. And like any good treasure hunt, it requires patience and willingness to really dig through the racks.
No doubt. So beyond the thrift store circuit, where else are Poshmark sellers finding their inventory? What are the other spots?
Well, many successful sellers are actually tapping into online platforms. And surprisingly, even Poshmark itself, to source inventory. The strategy here is basically spotting items listed below their market value and then, well, reselling them for a profit. Think of it like playing the stock market, buying low and selling high, but, with clothes.
Huh. That's a really interesting angle. It requires a keen eye for pricing trends within the platform itself. Are there any other less obvious places people should look?
Absolutely. Don't overlook your personal networks. Seriously. Reach out to family and friends who might be cleaning out their closets. You'd be amazed at the quality items people are often willing to part with for very little, sometimes even for free.
That's so true. I know I've definitely given away clothes that someone else would have loved to wear. It's a win-win. They declutter, and you get low-cost inventory.
Exactly. And often it's stuff they were just planning to donate anyway, so you're kind of doing them a favor too.
Okay, so we've got thrift stores, online arbitrage, tapping into personal connections. What about buying in bulk? Is that a viable strategy for Poshmark sellers, especially maybe for those looking to scale up?
Buying in bulk can definitely be a smart move, yeah. Particularly if you're serious about growing your Poshmark presence. You could look into things like wholesale liquidators or even lesser-known brand wholesalers who offer discounts on bulk purchases, clothing, accessories, that sort of thing. This can be a really great way to build a larger inventory more efficiently.
That sounds like a good avenue for those aiming to turn their side hustle into something, well, more substantial. Now, before we move on to actually listing and selling these finds, you mentioned earlier the importance of developing a keen eye for quality and trends. How can someone who's just starting out cultivate this skill? Are there like resources or communities they can turn to?
Oh, definitely. There are some excellent online communities and forums specifically for resellers. These are fantastic places to exchange tips, learn about upcoming trends, and even get feedback on potential inventory finds before you invest.
That's invaluable. Being part of a community like that can really like speed up the learning process, especially for beginners.
Absolutely. You can learn from the experiences of others, maybe avoid some common pitfalls, and frankly, stay motivated by connecting with people who actually understand the reselling world. Surrounding yourself with that kind of support can make a huge difference.
Okay, so we've laid the groundwork by talking about sourcing. Now, once you have that inventory, the next crucial step is presenting it in a way that grabs attention. Crafting compelling listings is key to turning those finds into sales, right?
Absolutely. Your listings are basically your storefront on Poshmark. You need to capture potential buyers' attention and showcase your items in the most appealing way possible.
So what are the non-negotiables? What absolutely has to be right in the listing that converts?
High-quality photos. They are absolutely essential. In the online world, visuals, well, they reign supreme. Good lighting and clear images can truly make or break a listing. Seriously.
Yeah, I've heard that a million times, but what are some practical photography tips for Poshmark sellers? Like, what are buyers really looking for in those pictures?
Okay, think from the buyer's perspective. They want to see the item from multiple angles, front, back, close-ups of details, maybe even how it looks when worn, if that's possible for you. Natural light is your best friend. Seriously, use it whenever you can. Take clear, focused photos that highlight the fabric, any unique features, and critically accurately represent the condition. And don't be afraid to get a little creative with styling to make the item look its best.
Right, it's like staging a house to sell it, but you're staging clothes, highlighting all the best features, making it irresistible. Okay, so we've got the visuals covered. What about the written descriptions? What info needs to be in there, and how do you make them, enticing?
Okay, first and foremost, be honest and transparent. Always. Clearly state the brand, the size, provide measurements if you can. That's huge, the condition of the item, including any flaws, no matter how small. And mention the materials. Buyers really appreciate honesty, and it manages expectations. That means fewer returns and happier customers down the line. Transparency really builds trust.
Absolutely. But you also want to make the description engaging, right? It
Yeah.
can't just be a dry list of facts.
Exactly. Think about what you would want to know if you were buying that item. Highlight any unique features, describe the fit or maybe the feel of the fabric. You could even suggest ways the buyer could style the piece. Use descriptive language. Paint a picture with your words and evoke a feeling about the garment.
So you're almost writing a little story or maybe like a mini fashion editorial for each item to really capture its essence and make someone want to click buy. Now, what about pricing? Is it just about picking a number and hoping for the best?
Not quite. Pricing on Poshmark is definitely more of an art than a science. You need to research what similar items are actually selling for, be competitive, and also, importantly, be prepared for some negotiation. But there's definitely a psychological element to it as well.
Ah, okay, this is where it gets interesting. Tell us more about the psychology of pricing in the Poshmark world. What works?
Well, one effective tactic is to create a sense of perceived value. For example, if you're selling a higher-end item, maybe you price it a little above comparable listings, but then offer a slight discount if someone bundles multiple items. This makes the buyer feel like they're getting a better deal overall, yeah, even if they end up spending a bit more in total.
That's clever, framing the price to make it more appealing. So it's not always about being the absolute rock bottom lowest price.
Not necessarily, no. And remember, you can always adjust your prices over time. It's often a good strategy to start a little higher and then maybe gradually lower the price if you're not seeing much interest. You can always send out offers to people who've liked the item too, to gauge interest at a slightly reduced price point.
Makes sense. Flexibility is key. Okay, so we've got our listings looking fantastic, great photos, great descriptions, smart pricing. But in such a busy marketplace, just listing isn't enough, is it? You need to be proactive about getting your items seen.
Exactly right. Listing is just the first step. You absolutely need to actively engage with the Poshmark platform and its community to increase your visibility. It won't happen on its own.
So what does that active engagement look like in practice for a Poshmark seller? What should they be doing daily or weekly?
One of the most important things you can do is share your listings regularly, frequently. Think of it as bumping your items back to the top of the search results in people's feeds. The more active you are with sharing, the more visible your closet will be.
So consistency with sharing is key to keeping your listings fresh and in front of potential buyers. Got it. What else can sellers do to boost their visibility? Any other platform features?
Poshmark parties. They're another great way to get your items seen by a really targeted audience. These are basically virtual events centered around specific themes or categories like best in jeans or designer deals. When you share relevant listings to a party, they become visible to everyone browsing that particular party feed.
Right, I've seen those pop up. So if there's a boho chic party, I'd share my flowy tops and vintage skirts there.
Precisely. It's a fantastic way to connect with buyers, specifically looking for those kinds of items. Really targeted exposure.
That makes a lot of sense, reaching a focus group of potential customers. Are there other ways to actively engage and build a following on the platform itself, or maybe outside of it?
Oh, absolutely. Social media is a powerful tool here. Share your Poshmark listings on platforms like Instagram, Facebook, maybe even TikTok if that's your thing. You can create engaging content like styling videos, showcasing your latest finds, or even giving a little behind-the-scenes peek at your sourcing process. This helps attract followers and drive traffic directly to your Poshmark closet. It's all about building your brand and a community around your shop.
Definitely. And it's a two-way street, right? Engagement isn't just about blasting your own stuff out there.
Exactly. You need to be responsive to comments and questions on your listings. Answer them thoroughly and, reasonably quickly. Participate in the Poshmark community to follow other sellers, share their items sometimes, engage in conversations in the forums if they have them. The more you interact, genuinely, the more visibility you'll gain.
So it sounds like being an active and engaged member of the Poshmark community is almost as important as the listings themselves. Now, there's something else that often comes up when talking about online platforms, the mysterious algorithm. How does the Poshmark algorithm actually affect visibility?
Ah, the algorithm. Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the secret sauce, or maybe the fashion gods, deciding which listings get seen by whom. While Poshmark doesn't reveal its exact workings, they keep that pretty close to the vest. We can make some educated guesses based on the patterns of successful sellers. It's like cracking a code almost.
Okay, spill the beans.
Yeah.
What are some of the key ingredients you think are in this secret sauce? What seems to work?
Well, it seems that consistently listing new items, frequently sharing your own listings, and maintaining high engagement, so getting likes, comments, shares from others, are all factors that can positively influence the algorithm and boost your visibility.
So it's not just about having great listings passively sitting there. You need to keep them active and interact with the platform regularly. It's like you need to constantly feed the algorithm with fresh content and activity to stay relevant.
That's a great analogy. Think of it exactly that way. To keep your listings visible, you need to put in the work to keep them fresh and engage with the community. Activity matters.
Makes sense. Are there any other things that sellers should keep in mind about the Poshmark algorithm? Anything else that helps?
Keywords. Keywords are absolutely crucial. Use relevant keywords in your listing titles and your descriptions. Think carefully about what terms a buyer would actually type into the search bar when looking for an item like yours. Incorporating those keywords helps your listings show up in relevant search results.
Ah, that's like SEO for fashion, making sure your listings are actually discoverable by the right people who are searching.
Exactly. So, consistent activity, frequent sharing, strong engagement, and relevant keywords. Those seem to be some of the key elements. And just remember, the algorithm isn't static. Poshmark is always making tweaks and updates, so staying informed about best practices and any new features is really important. Adaptability is absolutely key in the ever-evolving world of online selling.
That's a really good reminder. Stay learning and be willing to adjust your strategies as the platform changes. Okay, now we've talked about getting seen, but let's be real. With so many sellers on Poshmark, how do you truly stand out from the crowd?
That really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? With millions of sellers, the competition can feel, well, pretty intense. The key, often, is to niche down. Find your niche and build a loyal following rather than trying to compete with absolutely everyone on absolutely everything. Think about carving out your own specific little corner of the Poshmark universe.
So, like, becoming known for something specific, maybe vintage denim or a particular style like minimalist chic.
Exactly. Do you have a knack for finding unique vintage pieces? Or are you a great curator of a certain aesthetic, like, say, bohemian style? Maybe you specialize in sourcing plus-size designer items, which can be hard to find. Build your business around what you genuinely love and what you're good at. It's really about showcasing your unique perspective and attracting buyers who resonate with your style and your values. It's not just about selling clothes, fundamentally. It's about selling yourself, your personal brand, your taste.
I love that, creating a brand that people trust and connect with on a more personal level. And you're right, competition isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes it can push you to be more creative and really focus on your customer. What are some things you've noticed that top Poshmark sellers do consistently to really stand out?
Excellent customer service. That's a huge one. It's a hallmark of successful sellers. They are incredibly responsive to inquiries, they provide thorough answers, and they often go above and beyond to resolve any issues that might pop up. It's all about building those positive relationships with their buyers.
Absolutely. Word of mouth marketing is so powerful, even online. A happy customer is way more likely to come back or tell others. So, providing great service isn't just about being nice, it's actually a really smart business strategy. What are some specific customer service tips you'd give Poshmark sellers?
Well, don't hesitate to offer small discounts, maybe to repeat buyers or as a thank you for bundling items. Consider adding personalized touches, like a simple handwritten thank you note included with the shipped order. These small gestures, they can really create a memorable experience and encourage repeat business.
Yeah, those little touches can genuinely make a difference in a digital marketplace where things can feel impersonal. But what about when things don't go smoothly? How should sellers handle difficult situations or unhappy buyers?
That's bound to happen sometimes. It's crucial to remain calm and professional, even when you're dealing with challenging buyers. Address their concerns promptly and try your best to find a fair resolution. Sometimes, yeah, it might mean compromising or even issuing a refund if something went wrong. It's about finding that balance between protecting your business interests and providing excellent service. And also remember, it's okay to set boundaries. You don't have to tolerate abusive behavior. You can walk away from a sale if it's just not worth the hassle.
That's a really important point, knowing when to compromise and when to stand your ground or even block someone. Okay, we've covered so much about the selling side of things, but there's another crucial aspect that often gets overlooked, especially when you're just starting out, the financial side,
Hmm.
the money stuff.
Yes, the often unglamorous but absolutely essential topic of taxes. It's so important to remember that the income you earn from your Poshmark side hustle, well, it's taxable income. It needs to be reported to the IRS or your relevant tax authority.
Right. Not the most exciting part of the hustle, but definitely a critical one you can't ignore. So, what are some key tips for managing the financial aspects of your Poshmark business effectively?
Okay, the most important thing is to keep meticulous records. Track all your sales, all your expenses, things like your cost of goods, shipping supplies, Poshmark fees, and ultimately, your profits. Using a simple spreadsheet or maybe some accounting software can make this process much easier. Organized records will not only simplify tax time immensely, but also give you a clear picture of how your business is actually performing financially. And seriously, don't hesitate to consult with a tax professional. They can provide guidance specific to your situation, help you understand your obligations, and maybe even find deductions you didn't know about.
That's really great advice. Navigating taxes as a small business owner, especially for the first time, can feel like a minefield. So, professional guidance can be incredibly valuable. It's about viewing taxes not just as a burden, but as a necessary part of running a legitimate business and making sure you're set up for long term success. Okay, let's take a step back for a moment and look at the bigger picture. For many, Poshmark starts as a way to make some extra cash on the side. But could it evolve into something more significant? Could it actually become more than just a side hustle?
That really depends. It depends on your individual vision, your goals, and frankly, the amount of dedication you're willing to invest. Poshmark can truly be whatever you make it. It can be a source of supplemental income, yeah? It can be a fun, creative outlet, a way to connect with a community of fashion lovers. Or it could even be a stepping stone, a launch pad towards a full-fledged entrepreneurial career. It's really about setting your sights high and believing in your potential. Who knows? Maybe your Poshmark journey might just inspire others down the line to pursue their own side hustle dreams. Embrace the possibilities and see where the journey takes you. And remember, there's a whole community of sellers out there, often willing to help and support each other. If you're thinking about it, if you're ready to dive in, it could be a fantastic decision.
Absolutely. Well, that brings us to the end of part one of our deep dive into the world of Poshmark. Wow, we've covered a ton of foundational information today, everything from smart sourcing strategies and crafting those compelling listings to engaging with the community and understanding the crucial financial side of things.
But hold on, there's still so much more to explore. In part two, we'll be diving into more advanced strategies. We're talking about scaling your Poshmark business, mastering the art of negotiation, and really building a brand that truly stands out from the crowd.
You definitely won't want to miss that. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Dollar Side Hustle. We're continuing our deep dive into Poshmark, and now we're moving beyond the basics to unlock some serious strategies for taking your reselling game to the next level, really leveling up.
Exactly. We've laid the foundation in part one, and now it's really time to talk about how to scale your operation effectively and ultimately maximize your profitability.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's learn how to turn this into potentially a serious income stream. Where do we even start with scaling? What's step one?
Well, one of the very first things to focus on when you're looking to scale is efficiency. How can you streamline your processes so you can actually handle a higher volume of sales without getting totally overwhelmed or, burning out?
That's such a great point because when you're juggling everything yourself, finding inventory, listing, photographing, packing, shipping, customer service, it can quickly become way too much to manage effectively. What are some practical ways to become more efficient?
Creating a dedicated workspace for your Poshmark business can make a massive difference. Just having a specific area set up for photographing items, packing orders, and storing your inventory that can bring order to the chaos and seriously minimize distractions. Another really powerful technique is batching tasks. Instead of switching between different activities constantly, which is really inefficient, dedicate blocks of time to similar tasks. For example, spend one afternoon taking all your products photos for the week, then maybe another session writing all your descriptions.
Matching tasks, yeah, that makes so much sense for staying focused and probably getting more done in less time overall. What other tools or strategies can help boost efficiency as you grow? Technology. Technology can be a real game changer for resellers looking to scale. There are specific apps and online tools designed to help automate certain tasks, track your inventory better, and manage your listings, especially across multiple platforms.
Okay, I'm always on the lookout for tools that can save precious time. Are there any specific apps or software you'd recommend for Poshmark sellers who are really trying to scale up?
Yeah, List Perfectly is a fantastic example of a cross-listing tool. It allows you to easily post your listings not just on Poshmark, but also on eBay, Mercari, Etsy, and other platforms simultaneously, all from one place. This can save you a significant amount of time and effort as you don't have to manually create each listing over and over again on different sites.
Wow, okay, that sounds like a huge time saver. Reaching much wider audience without all that tedious extra work, that's definitely something to look into. It's a game changer for many sellers. Another category of helpful tools is photo editing apps. Look for apps that offer features like easy background removal, lighting adjustments, maybe even watermarking if you want to protect your images. Remember, high-quality, professional-looking photos are absolutely crucial for attracting buyers and showcasing your items in the very best possible light online.
Absolutely. In the online world, those visuals are often the first impression, maybe the only impression, so making them stand out is definitely key. Okay, so we've streamlined our processes, maybe leveraged some technology. What about the inventory itself? How does that play into scaling successfully?
Right. As your business grows, you might naturally consider investing in a larger and perhaps more diverse inventory. This could involve sourcing from different places, like maybe wholesale suppliers, attending trade shows if that's relevant, or even establishing partnerships with other sellers or consignment shops. A wider selection, generally speaking, can attract more buyers and increase your overall sales potential. More choice is usually good.
That makes sense, offering more options to cater to a broader range of tastes, sizes, and needs. But isn't there a risk of overbuying, maybe tying up too much capital, especially when you're trying to scale up quickly? How do you manage your inventory investments wisely?
That's a very valid concern. Careful planning and research are absolutely essential here. Before making significant inventory investments, do your homework. Analyze current fashion trends, sure, but also review your own past sales data. See what has actually sold well for you. Consider the potential demand for the specific items you're thinking of purchasing. Be strategic to avoid getting stuck with a bunch of slow-moving inventory that just sits there. It's often wise to increase your inventory gradually as your business grows and your profits allow, rather than making huge bulk buys right away.
Start small, test the waters, and scale up inventory responsibly. That sounds like a much smarter approach to avoid unnecessary financial risks. Now, what about when the workload itself, even with batching and tools, really starts to become overwhelming? Is it ever time to consider getting some help, outsourcing?
Absolutely. As your business expands, you might definitely reach a point where outsourcing certain tasks makes a lot of sense, financially and for your sanity. You could consider hiring a virtual assistant, maybe someone to help with listing creation, customer service inquiries, or managing your social media presence. You could even explore using a third-party fulfillment center to handle all your packing and shipping, although that's usually for larger volume sellers.
Mm.
Delegating these tasks frees up your time to focus on the higher level activities like sourcing great new inventory, marketing, and developing your overall business strategy. It's about recognizing your strengths and weaknesses and not being afraid to seek support where you need it. You really don't have to do everything yourself to be successful.
That's such a good reminder. Sometimes bringing in help, even part-time, is the smartest way to continue growing without burning yourself out. Okay, so we've talked about efficiency, technology, inventory management, and delegation. What are some other key strategies for maximizing profits and really scaling your Poshmark business effectively?
Diversification. Successful sellers often diversify their efforts beyond just Poshmark or one specific type of inventory. Don't limit yourself. Explore cross-listing consistently on platforms like eBay and Mercari to reach a wider audience that might not be on Poshmark. Consider selling directly through social media platforms like Instagram Shopping or Facebook Marketplace. Meet your customers where they already are. Diversification can also mean expanding your product offerings. If you only sell women's clothing, maybe add accessories, shoes, or even men's or children's clothing, or home goods if that fits your brand. This taps into new markets and customer segments. Some sellers even get creative and offer additional services, like personal styling consultations or closet organization, leveraging their fashion expertise to create extra income streams. Think outside the box.
Okay, so it sounds like the key is really to explore different avenues, spread your risk, and not put all your proverbial eggs in one basket. Now, negotiation. That's such a big part of the Poshmark experience, the whole offer culture. How can sellers master the art of negotiation to maximize their profits without being, difficult?
Right, negotiation is super common on Poshmark, and yeah, it can feel intimidating at first, but it's really about finding a mutually agreeable price. Think of it less as a battle and more as a conversation aimed at a win-win outcome. And remember, you are not obligated to accept every offer you receive. It's perfectly fine and often necessary to politely decline if an offer just doesn't align with your pricing goals or the item's value. You have the right to set your prices and negotiate accordingly. Don't feel pressured.
Okay, so what's a good professional way to respond to those really lowball offers without completely shutting down a potential buyer who might come up a bit?
A good approach is usually to thank the buyer for their interest first, then politely explain that the offer is lower than you're able to accept at this time. You can then counter with a price that you are more comfortable with. Sometimes it helps to briefly reiterate the item's value, maybe mention its condition, unique features, or rarity to gently justify your counteroffer. Always aim to be respectful but firm.
That's helpful, maintaining that positive professional tone while still clearly stating your position. What about the other way around? Is it ever a good strategy for a seller to initiate negotiations, to send out offers first?
Absolutely. Reaching out proactively to buyers who have liked your item or added it to a bundle can be a really effective way to encourage a sale. You could send a private message using the Offer to Likers feature, offering a small discount and maybe even discounted shipping. It shows you're engaged, paying attention, and it can sometimes be just the nudge a potential buyer on the fence needs to make the purchase. Again, just keep your communication professional and friendly, not pushy.
That makes a lot of sense. Sometimes a little proactive outreach can go a long way in closing that deal before someone else does. Okay, we've talked about building a following and diversifying your reach. How do you really build a lasting brand on Poshmark, something that keeps customers coming back specifically to you?
Building a brand. Yeah, that's about creating a consistent and recognizable identity for your Poshmark business. It's about showcasing your unique style, maybe your values like sustainability, and really connecting with buyers who appreciate what you specifically offer. Think of it as creating an experience that goes beyond just the transaction of buying and selling clothes. Start by really defining your target audience. Who are you trying to reach? What are their tastes, their budgets, their preferences? Then develop a brand aesthetic that reflects your personality. This includes things like your photography style, the tone of voice in your descriptions, even your packaging choices if you ship yourself. Consistency is absolutely key across all your touchpoints, your Poshmark closet, your social media, your communication. And don't be afraid to tell your story. Share why you started your Poshmark business, what you're passionate about, what makes your shop unique. People genuinely connect with authenticity in stories.
So it's really about creating a cohesive look and feel and letting your genuine personality shine through to build that deeper connection with your customers beyond just the clothes themselves.
Exactly. And just remember, building a brand takes time and consistent effort. It's definitely an ongoing process of refining your image, engaging with your followers, and nurturing those customer relationships. But the payoff can be significant in terms of customer loyalty, repeat business, and standing out.
Absolutely. A strong brand builds that crucial trust and keeps people coming back for more. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground with scaling, negotiation, and branding. Let's circle back specifically to maximizing profit. Beyond just setting competitive prices, are there any specific, maybe psychological tactics or strategies that work particularly well on Poshmark?
Yes, definitely. Understanding the psychology behind pricing can give you a real edge. Poshmark shoppers, as we know, are often looking for a good deal, maybe something better than retail. So creating a sense of scarcity can be effective. Highlight limited quantities, run flash sales with clear expirations. We also touched on anchoring earlier, setting a higher initial compare at price to make your actual selling price seem more appealing. And don't discount the simple power of charm pricing, ending your prices in 0.99 or 0.97. It sounds silly, but studies show it can make a price feel psychologically lower and more attractive to buyers.
Huh. Those are some interesting psychological levers to consider pulling. What about bundling and running promotions? Are there any best practices for maximizing profit through those methods specifically?
Bundling is fantastic. It's a great way to increase your average order value and move multiple items at once. Offer clear discounts for buying, say, 2 or more items, maybe tiered discounts the more they buy, the bigger the percentage off. Consider creating pre-made bundles of items that naturally complement each other like an outfit bundle. For promotions, definitely leverage Poshmark's built-in features like closet clear-out days, where offering a discount triggers discounted shipping paid by Poshmark. That's a huge incentive. You can also create your own sales events. BOGO, buy one, get one, percentage off weekends, themed sales. Promote these sales actively both on Poshmark itself and across your social media channels to create excitement and urgency. And don't forget to gently encourage reviews. Positive word of mouth is still incredibly powerful.
Okay, so it's really about creating value and incentives for the buyer while strategically increasing your overall sales volume and profit margin. Got it. Now, one final topic I think is really important, especially for today's conscious consumer: sustainability. How can Poshmark sellers effectively lean into the sustainability aspect of reselling?
That's a great point. Reselling is inherently a sustainable practice, right? You're giving clothes a second life, reducing textile waste, diverting items from landfills. Sellers can absolutely highlight this eco-friendly aspect, mention it in your closet description, maybe even in individual listings where relevant. Emphasize the quality and durability of your items, promoting the idea of pre-loved or treasured rather than just used. Some sellers go the extra mile with eco-friendly packaging, using recycled mailers or compostable materials. Share your commitment to sustainability on your social media too. This can really attract a growing segment of buyers who are actively seeking more sustainable fashion choices and want to support businesses that align with those values. It's about building a brand with purpose, beyond just profit.
That's a really important angle, aligning your business practices with values that resonate strongly with many customers today. Well, this has been an incredibly comprehensive deep dive into the world of Poshmark, from starting out to scaling up. Any final words of wisdom for those listening who are looking to really succeed on the platform?
I'd say don't be afraid to just jump in, experiment, and learn as you go. Poshmark is a dynamic platform. Things change. Stay adaptable. Figure out what works best for you and your niche. Refine your strategies over time. And maybe most importantly, try to stay passionate about what you're doing. Embrace the journey, find the joy in the process, and good luck.
Fantastic advice to end on. Be sure to like and subscribe to Dollar Side Hustle for more side hustle inspiration and actionable advice just like this. And hey, don't forget to check out those affiliate links you'll find in the description. They really help keep this podcast running. And to explore even more side hustle methods and ideas, be sure to visit our website at dollarsidehustle.com. Until next time, happy hustling.
Happy hustling.